Washington is full. Don't move here. Hey, welcome back to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. I'm your host, Hannah Dubyne, and I'm glad you're here today because we're talking about the fact that Washington is too dang full. A lot of y'all have been moving here the last few years, and there's just some things I want to share with you if you're thinking about considering moving to Washington. Now, do I actually think Washington is too full and you should never move here? No, right? This is a wonderful state and the United States has open borders between states, so we can't stop you from moving here. But that is the sentiment that some other people in Washington believe. By the way, if you're new here, please subscribe to our Weekend Happenings with Hannah email list. We'd love to send you the activities happening in Southwest Washington, real estate tips, and more fun stuff. The state of Washington has been one of the most popular places for folks to relocate to, especially over the last 5 years, kind of that COVID era. Statistics say that there have been plus 100,000 people added to our population every year for the last couple years. That's a lot of people. We are adding people into this part of the country. We know that post-COVID, people are more likely than ever to relocate, and people have found out about Washington. I think for a while there, we were a secret in the 90s and the early 2000s, but the last decade especially, people have moved here in droves. Here are a couple things I want you to know if you're relocating to Washington that are maybe not so positive, but totally honest. The first, and I feel like most important thing we've got to talk about is the price of housing. I'm a realtor by trade, so I help people sell and buy their homes here in Clark County every day, all day. And so this is always on the top of my mind. And I'm always grappling with the fact that every year the affordability index is going down. It's becoming less affordable to buy a house, own a house here in Washington. I have some statistics here on my computer I want to share with you. These are for the whole state of Washington, not just Clark County, so keep that in mind. But let's talk about the historical prices here in Washington state. So in 2018, the median sales price in the state of Washington was $362. In 2019, it was $398. In 2020, it was $452. And in 2021, it was $560. And in 2022, the last available year I could find for the entire state, it was $647,900, and $900, so $648,000. We went from $362 to basically $650 in 5 years. And it's not even 2022 when I'm filming this, it's 2024. And so I don't have 2023 data, but median sale price did go up a little bit in 2023 from 2022. Shoot, we've nearly doubled in the last 6 years. That's crazy. Whose salary has doubled? And on top of that, we have higher interest rates. So that makes it really unaffordable for people who are making the median salary in Washington state. Speaking of median salary, that's the next thing that I want to talk about. So a lot of our clients, they're really relocating from places like California where there's a higher cost of living. And a lot of y'all, we love you, by the way, are working from home and you're making a decent or maybe a large salary, which is wonderful, and you're doing what's best for your family, which is relocating to somewhere more affordable, such as Washington State, Clark County down here in Southwest Washington, and you're bringing that large salary with you. You're not having to adjust it, whereas, if you used to relocate for an in-person job, they might bring your salary up or down depending on the cost of living in that area. Nowadays, I find if you work from home, they're just gonna give you the same salary no matter where you work. And so it's causing more of a disparity between people. We work with all incomes, entry level to, I have clients who are in the C-suite or who own businesses and they make a very considerable amount of money. Those who are on the higher end of the spectrum, they're taking those high salaries with them and it's giving them more purchasing power, but it's also making it harder for the little guy, the person on the entry level side of the spectrum, to gain entry into the housing market. And it's making other things more expensive too. So it's an interesting dynamic. The census data says that in Washington state, the median household income is around $90,000. I will tell you very honestly and clearly, like almost none of my clients who relocate are only making $90,000. Almost everyone is making over $120,000 up to, I don't know, I have clients who make $500,000, $1 million, depending on what they do for work. And they bring that salary with them and it just causes a greater disparity. This is one of those things where it's like, there's always two sides to every issue. There's always competing interests. And so it's not that one side is right or wrong. Everyone's doing what's best for their family. If you live somewhere extremely unaffordable, of course you want to move somewhere more affordable. Is that going to hurt someone else who already lives in that area? Yeah, maybe, but those people are doing what's best for their family. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I'd love to hear what you think down below in the comments. Another thing you should know if you're considering relocating to Washington State, and one of the reasons why people say, hey, Washington's full, don't move here, is that we have an extreme shortage in housing. We are approximately 250,000 units short in the state of Washington, 250,000 units. That's a lot. So we have an undersupply of homes here, and that causes more demand. We know how basic supply and demand works from basic economic principles, and that continues to make house prices go up. The governor of Washington, Mr. Jay Inslee, is supposedly trying to do some things to bridge that gap and build those 250,000 units and make housing more affordable. But the reality is his administration probably will not, because they like to be bureaucratic and make things harder. And this is not about politics, but the harder you make things, the more expensive they get, and that cost has to be passed on to the consumer. That's just a fact. And that is what I hear from the biggest developers in our area all the time. And so it will not be helping housing become more affordable. Some things that have been passed recently at the state level are a lot of middle housing bills. If you don't know what middle housing is, it's a term they came up with for, not apartments, but not big single family homes on your own plot of land. It's stuff in the middle. It's condos, cottage housing, townhomes, really close together homes where the setbacks are very narrow. That is what the state wants. They want to push more of that dense housing options because they think it's going to bring more affordability. I think it will bring some more affordable options, but rarely do I get majority of clients who come to me saying, yeah, we want really dense housing. Most people, they still want the American dream. They want their own plot of land. They would love to have privacy. Another hot button issue that Washingtonians are saying, hey, stop moving here, is that the political landscape is changing. Now, I know this is a controversial topic, and we don't talk about personal political beliefs here. We don't take a side. We work with clients all across the board. We just love working with great people. But the fact is that it is changing. Washington has been a blue state for a long time, somewhere around probably 20 to 25 years. It used to be a red state, but now it's a blue state, and it's becoming more and more blue as more folks come up really from California. It's the main spot. So here in Clark County specifically, I can speak to our political landscape here. For a long time, we were really very 50-50 split, and it could kind of go either way, just depending on how the lines were drawn out for the voting districts and all of that. But recently we have seen it go a little bit more blue. Now, overall picture here in Clark County, still pretty 50-50. I think we like it that way. It's balanced, people get along. We want to continue to see it that way, but just know that the direction Washington State is headed in is more blue. So my overall take on the subject, people moving into Washington State and why Washingtonians are saying, hey, please stop moving here, is in the future, housing is probably just going to become more unaffordable. And that's because we have a lack of supply of homes, and every year there continues to be more and more of an income disparity between low-end incomes and high-end incomes. I made this video not to point fingers at anyone and blame them for any of these problems. Like I mentioned, everyone is always doing what's best for them personally and their family, which only makes sense. You think about yourself in those people's shoes, and most of us would do the same thing. But I just want there to be awareness around the issues that are happening in our community here in Washington State. So let us know down in the comments what you think about everyone moving into the state of Washington, about the changing political landscape, about housing prices, about income disparities. Let us know down below. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was super useful to you. If you are looking to list or purchase a home in Clark County, Vancouver, or Camas, Washington, myself and my team at Dubyne Realty Group, we would love to serve you. So send us a text, email us, DM us on Instagram, and we can't wait to see you again soon. Bye.